afternoon, everyone. Hearty welcome to the chief guest, Mr. Ajay Chaudhary, sir, Director, sir, members of my fraternity, and my dear friends. We are very happy to be back for the new edition of IBAC events for the current academic year. This is a very unusual period we are passing through, a period in which we learned new words like lockdown, doubling rate, asymptomatic, quick force, Moodle app, and many, many more. It's a period when the word positive became negative. A period when we succeeded in making everyone believe that our silence during Zoom sessions meant we are actually attentive. A period when Health Secretary Love Agarwal occupied more screen space than the PM or the Kapil Sharma show. This is also a period, most importantly, when our hands consumed more alcohol than our mouths did. We have at last moved on to embrace the toughest time ahead. ICFAC group is always ahead of the crowd. We completed our academic session, examinations, and announced results much before others could even complete the curriculum. Conducted online exams when our peers are still in shock. Completed a record placements when even IIMs are facing trouble. A record number of students have joined us across the 9 campuses this year. Here, thanks to our director, sir, Dean Academics, and every single faculty, we have already kicked off the new academic session almost 20 days back, and perhaps the first institute to go online till time is right for opening up. Then there are still other institutes which are working for solutions. Our IBAC cell has been in the forefront of providing a 360-degree learning experience for the students, taking care of the outside the classroom learning. Many men and women of eminence have visited us to interact with our students in the past. We would continue our efforts in this direction. We did 22 programs last year. We would make efforts to do even better this year. On behalf of the Institution Development Cell and IBS Gurgaon, I welcome you all to this inaugural session. I am particularly privileged to welcome our chief guest of the day, Mr. Ajay Chaudhary, President and CHRO at SRF Limited. I have been trying to get him to visit our campus for the last 3 years. Now, thanks to COVID, we are lucky to have him today. One request to all of you, this is our inaugural. With all of us at different locations, there would be technical glitches. We promise we would improve. Also note, this is not a Dell webinar. This is an interactive conference where the guests can listen to the audience as well. Here we go. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chaudhary, sir, has a corporate experience of nearly 30 years, having worked in companies like SAIL, Dell, Fidelity, Birlasoft. He has been with SRF Limited, a Rs 7,000 crore Indian multinational specializing in chemicals, technical textiles and packaging films for over 10 years now. A Hindu college, Jawaharlal Nehru University and Faculty of Management Studies alumni. He is presently the President and Chief Human Resources Officer at SRF. We're extremely proud to have him as the chief guest at our inaugural session for the academic year 2020-21.
Thank you, Ekta. May I now invite the chief guest of the day, Mr. Ajay Chaudhary, sir, President and Chief Human Resources Officer, SRF Limited, to make his address. Please join me by giving a thumbs up reaction in the reaction box. Over to sir.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Thank you for all the nice words and the good words in the introduction from all sources. First, let me release a little bit of pressure that has been built on me by all of this to say that I'm absolutely nothing of what you heard. I'm a simple person do my job and go back home. One thing that is correct is the experience that I've gathered over these years and experience of different organizations, of different ways of thinking, of how employers view employment and potential employees and current employees and so on. But before that, thank you very much for having me on board. I know that I've been playing a little hard to get, but that's more because of my reticent nature than anything else. Always happy to spare time for kids, love their company, and hope that I'm able to pass on a little bit of what I've picked up along these years, and something that makes sense to them. So last 3 years, yes, we've been playing hide and seek, and one good thing that happened because of COVID, one good thing, I'm sure there are many others, one that I can feel right now, is this opportunity to interact with all of you. And I hope this is actual interaction rather than just a monologue. So at any point of time, if there's anything that I can help you with in terms of clarifications or anything, please just let me know. The biggest thing, in my opinion, and I've always stuck to this belief of mine, that if there was one trait that you needed, that trait, to my mind, would be integrity. And integrity has a lot of meanings attached to it. Integrity, the best definition that I've heard, is doing the right thing when no one is watching. And that has become very, very prevalent in the COVID times, because there are people who are working away from the eyes of their managers. So are they doing the right thing? Are they putting in as much effort? Are they as efficient? Are they not wasting time? Are they not distracted? Are they true to their jobs? Are they true to themselves? All these things matter immensely at the workplace. And again, there are two reasons why integrity is important. If I know a person has integrity, what is a person who has integrity? Not integrity, but whatever it is. If there is a person, if there are two people, and one person has cheated, let's say 5 rupees off me. Now he's cheated those 5 rupees because he had the opportunity of cheating for just those 5 rupees, and because he thought that it wasn't a significant amount. But what if tomorrow he has the opportunity to cheat me of 5 lakhs, and then 2 years down the line of 5 crores? How would I know that I can trust him? That is one. The second very important thing is, if I don't have integrity, how am I going to force it on others? Then I lose that moral right to tell others to carry out their business with integrity. So integrity, to my mind, remains the most paramount. I know that's a redundant phrase, but it is the paramount trait that a youngster can imbibe. Flexibility, again, in today's time, there are people who just can't work from home. There are people who are dying to come back to office. There are people who don't want to come to office because they found that working from home, the malleability thing, the brain thing that I was talking about, now their brain tells them that working from home is a possibility. So why not have warm pulkas for lunch? Why wait for the canteen food and not like it? So if that is a possibility, I want to do that. There are others who say that I can't work at home because my house is not equipped to function like an office. I don't have the right furniture. I don't have the right environment. I don't have the right stimulation. Now, you need to, at times, be flexible and carry your work the way that the work is required to be done. So flexibility coupled with integrity. So I'm okay to work from home because I have to work from home today because the government forbids me to come to office. But I have to then start either liking it or at least tolerating it. So flexibility becomes a very important part of what you're doing. The last thing, non-COVID, COVID or no COVID, the last trait or the last endeavor that you should incorporate in your working life is the ability to differentiate yourself. Commodities always have lower value than specialities. If you are one amongst the 10, any 10, then you're just that. You're one amongst 10 and you'll be treated like that. So if you imagine, and I can go back to the example that strikes my mind is the New Zealand cricket team, where for a long, long time, they had 1 star and 10 players. So you had a Hadley and 10 people, you had a you had a Martin Crowe and 10 people, and so on and so forth. And that's the reason that team never did well. And there was just one person who was doing everything. So employers are looking for Martin Crowes, all of them, who are different from all the other 10 people in the New Zealand team. So they would like to have 10 Martin Crowes instead of one Martin Crowe and 10 people. You will, as you, within quotes, sell yourself and your skills and knowledge and experience in the market. You will realize that anyone who is different from the others gets picked up faster and gets paid better. So you'll go further if you're different from the other guys. And this holds true for any organization at any point of time. Now let's switch to what has happened after COVID. And I think COVID made a lot of people overreact. A lot of people got scared. A lot of people got extra cautious. And I'm not saying any of this to demean anything that these people did or felt, because that is exactly the way that they saw reality and they reacted to it. But normalcy and going back to doing your stuff is also how the human race has always reacted. And we say that Mumbai sees the worst of monsoons, and next day people are ready to catch the morning train. We call it the resilience of the people. And I think that is what is required. What happened was that suddenly people sort of felt themselves to be at a loose end, and people were afraid to communicate. How do you communicate with a machine? I see you and I see your expressions, I see your body language, and I can interact with you. I can react to what you're saying, and so on and so forth. But when you speak from behind a machine, it becomes very difficult for some people to differentiate as to what the intent or what the content of the conversation is. So I think that is one ability that you need to pick up, that you will not necessarily be face to face with people as much as you used to be in the past. And I think over these 1 year or 2 years that you have, you will pick up that trait, because a lot of interaction will now happen through machines. But make sure that you are coming across clearly over that machine, because people who are understood more go further in life. So you have to develop this new skill of not restricting your communication to just body language or just expressions or just the way that you want to interact face to face. That is one new trait that you have to build. The second new trait that we saw, and we sort of differentiate employees now in a short period, 3 months, but we know how different people reacted differently. So there were people who took advantage, within quotes, of the fact that no one was watching them. There were people who became more conscientious. There were people who said that I need to prove that I can do this from home. There were people who became totally uncommunicative because they didn't know how to interact with the laptop in the middle. And there were some people who gained in confidence because they were shy in public, and now they could hide behind this machine and they could interact with much more confidence with people at large than they could earlier. So people discovered in these 2-3 months different facets of their personality. And even better, we as employers, we as team members or team leaders, we discovered new facets about people. And I think that's one thing you need to be conscious about, that there are people who are judging all the time. And people are judging how you change with change in situations, how adaptable you are, how conscientious you are, how much integrity you display or pack in your body and mind. So these things are things that happen, sort of happened recently. People had to figure out how to understand a person without looking at him.
As the HR profession, I just wanted to ask, in the present situation, how is stress control and mental health is taken care of? Because as a student and as a lot of professionals are facing mental issues right now. So how can we handle that more effectively now?
See, I can talk about what we are doing in this space, and I can talk about at the concept level what's happening outside. So very quickly, I'll keep it short. The fortunate part about this was that we had shifted to an online mode of redressal, so to say, or care much before this. So for the last 2-3 years, all the mental well-being issues at our workplace were being handled virtually anyway. And that was because of 2 reasons. Because we wanted to keep it anonymous. And unfortunately, there's still a lot of stigma attached to this as far as the society is concerned, saying that I have to take the help of a counselor or a psychiatrist, or just the fact that I picked up the phone and talked to someone meant that I am weak and I can't handle reality, so on and so forth. So we kept it totally anonymous between the counselors and the employees. All that we get is a report at the end of the month, which is numbers, not names. That we had so many consultations and so on and so forth. The part. So that's the external help that we provide. The bigger part is a mandate to our managers, as I said, not to let anyone feel that they're a problem. Right? So the interaction that happens between the managers and the subordinate, and now I'm talking of Gurgaon office because at the plant things are back to normal. So the interaction that happens, the nature, the frequency and the content of that interaction had to change during these 3 months. It was not only about work, it was about what's happening around you, how scared are you, how cautious are you, how careful are you, what are you doing about this, how are you protecting your family, what's going on in your head, and so on and so forth. It is the support that comes from a person that you know is the support that I think is the most beneficial and the most powerful. So that is what we tried, and we haven't, from the online report that I was talking about, we have not, fortunately and touch wood, seen any spike in the number of consultations because of COVID. What people are reading has changed. They are reading about COVID. They are reading about how to handle, the social distancing and this and that. But thankfully, very little mental issues that came. Having said that, I know that it is a problem in the larger context, and people are not addressing it still. The organizations are not addressing it still. But that something is something that I think will not, is not necessarily related to COVID. It will spike it a little because the uncertainty and the fear and the anxiety and all those things will go up. But how many of these people will actually reach out for help is a question mark that only, I think, the next 3-4 months will answer.
With this, we close our inaugural session. Thank you, Chaudhary sir, for making it so memorable. Thank you, directors, teachers, and all my friends. On behalf of IBACSEL, I wish you all goodbye. See you all again on the 16th with another great personality. Thank you.